was kind of funny. We did like a whole skit about it, where it's like, there was that thing where we were like, wow, we play instruments. We're a band. We're not a boy band.
Yeah,
And I look back, I'm like, oh, I guess we kind of were.
I'm Allison Hagendorf. America, this is the next. Hello, Times Square. Hello, Madison Square Garden. Welcome to X Games Aspen. I'm Allison Hagendorf. I'm the live announcer of the B&E. Welcome to Rock This with Allison Hagendorf.
Yeah, this is Allison Hagendorf.
Hello, my fellow music lovers, and welcome to the Allison Hagendorf Show. Hello, my fellow music lovers, and welcome to the Allison Hagendorf Show. This is where we celebrate the universal love of music and the rock and roll spirit that lives in each of us. I am so glad you're here. We're coming to you from DWP Studios, and I want to give a shout out to our presenting sponsor, Cloudwater, and our friends at Karma Sauce. These are products I love. They're all part of my life and help make this show possible along with you. Your support means the world to me. Thank you. Luke Hemmings is my guest today. One of my passions is to support artists in all of their forms, as I truly love being part of their journey. I always love when artists try new things along their creative path. Luke loves being in this band, 5 Seconds of Summer, but he wanted to challenge himself, get out of his comfort zone, and see what he could do as a solo artist. I'm sure this is something we can all relate to. Sometimes getting out of your comfort zone isn't even a choice, it's a calling. I am forever a New Yorker. My family came to America from Europe through Ellis Island at the turn of the century, and they just never left. I was raised in Rockland County, Rockland. You cannot make this up, I know. And then I lived in Manhattan for many years. I was certain that I would never leave. However, there was a moment in my life where I was at a crossroads. When all the music competition shows were happening, I hosted the one on the CW called The Next, alongside celebrity judges Gloria Estefan, Nelly, Joe Jonas, and John Rich. It was incredible. It was one of the most thrilling chapters of my life. It was the highest stakes night after night, huge production, primetime television. I had a full glam squad. It was glorious. But when the show wrapped in LA and I went home to New York, it just didn't feel right. It was the most bizarre feeling. All of my family, all of my friends, my career, everything I knew was in New York. The show wasn't going to go another season. So it wasn't even going to continue, but I just had that feeling that I was supposed to leave New York and fly across the country to Los Angeles with nothing lined up, nowhere to live, no gig, but that is exactly what I did. And absolutely nothing went according to plan. I thought I was going to have a trajectory of hosting more and more TV shows, but the landscape changed. They wanted reality stars or comedians, so I hosted where I could, and I had to figure it out. I did not win an Emmy, as I had planned, yet, and I had to pivot and leaned into my fitness and wellness passion, became a health coach, started CrossFit, and met my husband, Brian, there. So although it didn't go remotely as I had planned, I had this calling to go outside my comfort zone, and now I have this amazing family, this life and career in Los Angeles, and still, anything is possible. Okay, coming up after the short break, we have Luke Hemmings here in the studio. Stay tuned. As the lead vocalist of 5 Seconds of Summer, my guest today has sold millions of records. He's toured the globe numerous times, accumulated billions of streams, and has become one of Australia's most successful musical acts in history. Now he is turning his creative process inward, finding a place for self-discovery with his second solo EP, Boy, Luke Hemmings. Welcome to the show. Woohoo!
What an intro. How could I possibly ever live up to that intro?
The good news is you already have.
Okay.
And especially with this EP. I'm going to put this down and give you another round of applause.
Thank
because
you. I appreciate that.
It's really, Boy is really stunning. It's really stunning. It is. It's like 7 songs. It's this perfect body of work. Mm-hmm. And I feel like, and I want to learn more about it, that you were in a certain headspace for it. And you recorded most of it in New York.
Yeah.
And I feel like New York played a role in this headspace.
Yes, I feel like you wanted to play a role in it.
I know, I
too.
do. As a New Yorker, I'm like, I want to hear more about this. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. A lot of the songs were written in transit, like on the road, on planes, in hotel rooms, and sort of in this constant movement. So the play and kind of feeling very, lost and alone, but surrounded by people. And when I think of that, I think of New York.
Yes.
It's kind of like this place we can get lost in it. and feel quite. It's obviously beautiful. I love it there. I love spending time there. I don't know if I could do it full time. I can stress out easily, and that's not the place to be if you're going to stress out easily.
I agree with this. I agree with this.
I just really, and a lot of the people I was listening to, like LCD Sound System and like the Strokes, I was listening to a lot of them. The Rapture, like all of that sort of movement.
The Rapture.
Yeah. We're all.
I love you for saying the Rapture.
Yeah,
I love you for
I
that.
had to throw them in there. I feel like they don't get shouted
They
out
do
enough.
not. One of the most underrated bands. Period.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just kind of a lot of reasons. All those reasons of like, I don't know. It's just kind of a city you can feel very alone in, and
Absolutely.
I just was tapping into that a lot.
You're right. New York is like such a unique city where I do think it's the most electrifying city possible, but it can make you feel very alone.
Yeah, it's also like how you take it, and I don't have any like.
That's right.
I don't have any friends there or anything, so
That's true.
it's also like exacerbated by that. But I love it there, and it was super fun to make music there and feel. I'd never made music in New York, so it was like this, it's almost like overstimulation. It was really fun.
That's fantastic. And you worked again with your longtime collaborator, Sammy. Is it Witt pronounced?
Witty.
Witty, yeah, Witty. And he's worked with Harry Styles and Maggie Rogers, and it seems like the two of you just have a really special dynamic.
We do. Yeah, he's like relentlessly like an optimist. And I feel like sometimes I can be the opposite. So us writing together makes sense because I'll be like, I don't like this idea. I'm not very good. Like, I don't like this. And he'd be like, dude, he's like from Southern California. He's like,
Yes.
this is amazing. I love this, and not just like throwing it out there. If he really loves something and believes in it, he'll chase it down. And working with me, like we met in the height of COVID where like everyone was, very locked down. And he was he was kind of like the first friend I made since I was a teenager. And
The friends you make as an adult are a whole other level.
I know,
yes.
it was crazy. And I was like, I wanted to make, on my first solo album, I was writing stuff at home and I wanted to, I don't know, try and figure out if I could even write songs of my own and like how far could I take it. And I met him and it just sort of all took off from there. He just got it straight away. Just one of those creative relationships that was just there instantly, which is so amazing. And it's part of the reason I wanted to do more, because like to have such a special creative relationship and try and build on it is, they're few and far between.
It's true. It's true. When you find that connection with someone, that really is a gift.
Of course,
of course.
Definitely.
You said that when making this EP that there was something like the ache. It was like a feeling you had while making it. Tell me more about that.
Okay.
It's like a feeling.
It sounds pretty emo, doesn't it?
I do. That's what I love about it. I'm like, tell me more. I'm an elder emo, so I'm like, please, you're speaking my language.
Well, my favorite artists and songwriters are the ones that make me, I don't know, make all of us like have that physical like visceral gut reaction to stuff. And I think I just want to, for my solo stuff, I want to convey that. So every time I was making something, if it didn't give me that physical feeling within me, then it kind of wasn't it. It's kind of something me and Sammy were saying, then it's kind of, trickled over into talking about it in interviews and trying to get across what the emotion is. But yeah, that's kind of what it is.
But you feel it, like you really feel that visceral feeling on this EP.
Yeah, and I want people to, I don't know, it's kind of, you just want to move people in some sort of way, and that's if you have that feeling as kind of the benchmark, then hopefully you can not go too wrong.
It's like the EP that I didn't realize I needed, but it's like I want to just put this on and get lost, like almost melt into it. I feel like on this EP, it's like it really documents an evolution for you personally. A lot of the lyrics talk about being at a crossroads, and also sonically. So how are you feeling in this chapter? Because it's very vulnerable. It shares a lot about how you're feeling in the headspace and your heart space.
Well, I guess we have to go back to the beginning. When I wrote the first album, it was in COVID, and I didn't really see anyone. No one was doing anything. And it was sort of me trying to work out the last, 10 years of my life and trying to understand what happened, because there was so much movement going on and so much stuff happening, and then it just sort of stopped. And it gave me a chance to reflect on it, and I really fell in love with, I don't know, that way of working through things on my own. And there's sort of, I guess great bodies of work should be snapshots of however you were feeling or living at that point in time. So I'm trying to get across that, and obviously coming into my late 20s, there's a whole bunch of new feelings that come across you of like, you know, life sort of starts to rear its head. You know, it's not fun and games anymore. And I think that's definitely what kicked it off. And then having that sort of in the back of my mind as I'm doing all this traveling and constant movement, just that's kind of where it all came from.
Yeah. I mean, many people in their 20s have some sort of like a quarter life crisis. You know, I remember having one myself. One? Oh, 100%.
What age?
I was 23.
23?
I was young. I was young.
Crisis.
Well, at 23, I guess it was the first time I was like living by myself in New York City. It was like intense, you know. I was like on my own.
Okay.
And I remember thinking like, oh, things aren't going according to plan.
Right.
And it was like almost my first time realizing that, oh, like life is not a trajectory.
Yeah.
It's not even if you work hard, you know, things don't always work out. That was my first time that I was like,
that is a hard
oh, this
reality.
is life.
Yeah.
You know? So for anyone it is a pivotal time, but for you specifically, being reflective, like you said, you've been in a band since you were 14.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, on top of that, you've had a very interesting life where you didn't always get to experience normalcy.
Right.
So I'm sure it's that added layer of kind of coming to terms with everything.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think it's been it was a unique teenage year period for sure of trying to, it's a funny one, and I think obviously a lot of my lyrics relate to that of trying to work through like what happened and how it affected me and how did I even get here and what is, you know, like that sort of,
I get it.
Those sort of feelings. And but it is, I don't know, something you just sort of have to work through every day and like remind yourself why you do it and try to remain, I don't know, positive, looking at the good parts of it. Because there are like, you know, there's so many ups and downs on that journey that it's difficult to wrap it up into, I don't know, just all good.
Of course. I also think like your songwriting on this is so strong. I'm sure this has propelled hopefully your confidence and just being able to be autonomous, you know, to be able to sit down and face your feelings, because that's hard to do. It's one, to face them, and then two, express them.
Yeah,
you know,
and it takes a minute. It's frustrating writing. It's like a lot of things, but writing songs is my favorite thing to do, and it's also the most infuriating process of all time, because sometimes it's there, and a song happens in, you know, like the same story everyone's told, like happens just out of nowhere, and you get a whole song given to you by something, and other times it's not like that, and I guess you're just always chasing those moments, and I think, for me, a lot of it is very stream of consciousness, and I sort of have to figure it out after the fact. Like I'll write, something will fall out, and I'll have to like almost look back at it and go like, well, what was I trying to say here?
Yeah.
Which is kind of an interesting way to write, but it happens to, you know, a lot of writers and stuff. You sort of pulling stuff out of thin air and then trying to pick up the pieces afterwards.
It's however it comes out of you, right? It's just like, it's feelings, it's emotions. You're not always in control of, you know, of the form they take and how they come out.
Yeah.
So it's just about capturing them and sort of expressing them. I love the song "Close My Eyes."
Thank
it is
you.
one of my favorites.
That's a New York one for you.
I know. I really love that song.
Yeah.
I just would love to hear more about that one in particular.
Yeah, that was, I think, actually the first thing written for the EP that was like, I was like, I really want to try this thing with like the sub bass and like the 16ths and the hi-hat and all of that. And it was listening to a lot of like the Julian Casablanca solo stuff and like listening to a lot of LCD Sound System and trying to pull in, influences from that, and then talking through my own sort of process. And that was like the first lyrical thing of the, getting to your late 20s and trying to move forward with hope and not with so much fear. And I think for me, like, a lot of that was, I don't know, especially growing up in Australia, like very working class, especially with men, there's like a generation above me and all of that have a lot of, they sort of tend to hold things in. And I've seen that happen to a lot of people and family members and all of that. And I just wanted to, I don't know, I'm always sort of wary of that. And I don't know, not dwelling on things and trying to attack things before they, fester. Because otherwise you can sort of sleepwalk through years of your life.
And it's not healthy.
It's not, yeah. And it happens to everyone, but it's
Of
just
course.
like I don't know, that's always something that's in the back of my mind.
Yeah. What do you think it is now that the timing was right for you to write this? Or is it just that you've had the time to face it?
I think it's having some more years under my belt, and I think I'm in a very interesting, unique position where I've been blessed to be in like in such a successful and fulfilling band for so many years. But we started so young that we're 13 years in or something ridiculous, and I'm 27, so there's a lot. There's sort of usually by that point, or a lot of people don't get to that point.
Right, right.
It sort of fizzles out, or there's some sort of breakup or whatever. And I think we just have so much respect for each other that if there's something that each of us have to do or want to do, then we just allow it to, you do you, as long as the band's always going to be home.
Yes.
But it's I just felt like something I really wanted to attack at the moment. I wanted to expand on that first album I made, and I wasn't sure if I would ever make anything as I liked as much as that on my own. So it's just really fulfilling, and I mean, I love the process of making something on my own and trying to challenge myself, and and obviously made something that I love. Again, it's like,
and I love it.
Thank you.
I also feel like by having this time to hone your craft and get the emotion out, you'll be better in the band. It's like they complement each other.
Definitely. I think, well, the whole reason I started doing stuff of my own was just to get better as a songwriter.
Yeah.
So going back into the band, it makes me, because Five Sauce is such like, there's 4 of us and we all could make our own albums and sing them and play all the instruments if we wanted to. And I think that's what's so great about the band. But with that, there can be albums where people are pulling one direction and like pulling like from different, you're getting sort of, I don't know, you're getting pulled.
There's always going to be compromise.
There's going to be
There's
compromise.
always going to be compromise.
Which is why the band has lasted so long and why I think it's so great and so special. But to have other outlets, whether it's music or, just having a baby or whatever, what it is, like having a family or
life.
Doing something that isn't the band,
right,
makes you a fuller person coming into it. And I think it makes everyone, definitely makes everyone a better band member, because you're sort of there for the band, not for like your own personal agenda or something.
It's true of any relationship.
Yeah.
Right? You have to nurture your own soul, and passions and interests, so that you feel personally fulfilled, so that you can be yourself, your best self in the relationship.
Yeah, and I think without that, it would be, for me, it's a way for the band to last forever. Maybe not in the most conventional way, but I think it will last for twice as long as if we didn't. Yeah, no,
that's amazing.
It is lovely. I think it's that's the plan.
That's wonderful. I also love Close Enough to Feel You is special because it features guest vocals from your wife.
Yeah.
So that's really special. Tell me about, I know she's a musician. Mm-hmm. Talk about like collaborating together and working together.
Yeah, I mean, I write about a lot of things, but in most of the songs, there's some sort of reference to her in it. Like she's intertwined in the lyrics and everything, and she's the one hearing all the songs and being like, this one's good. this one's not so good.
She's a soundboard.
Yeah,
a truthful soundboard.
She's definitely a sounding board. And so it only makes sense for her voice to be on songs like that. And when we write together, we've written together before, and it's we write so much apart from each other that if we are doing something together, it's because that's just kind of the way the cards fell. Like we wanted to really badly, or just sort of like we happened upon it. So it's so fun having that creative relationship.
That's so great. What is so unique about your relationship?
What is so unique about it?
Yeah, like what makes it work?
I think I think the main thing for me is something I've thought about actually is I feel like there's never enough time with us. That there's never been enough time together, which I think is so beautiful and sweet. And she's just my rock and my sounding board and my best friend. And I'm just like, it's pretty cheesy, but I'm just like I'm never happier than when I'm with her. And it's just, even right now I'm having a great time, but I'm excited to go home and spend time with her.
You should have brought her. You should have.
Yeah, I think she's probably writing a song somewhere. But yeah, I think that's the most you can hope for is to marry your best friend and like someone you want to spend that much time with. And I feel really lucky that I found that,
Oh, that's beautiful. And I will make an INXS reference here. One, because of You're Australian, but Not Enough Time is one of my favorite songs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God, that INXS song, Not Enough Time.
So where did you hear INXS for the first time?
So, Australian, like INXS and ACDC
what's the deal?
are like as if they're American. Like it's as if they're, like we don't even think of them as Australian bands.
Okay.
Like they were so big, they were so ubiquitous that people might not even know they're from Australia.
Right.
Like that's how big.
I do get that. We get that a lot too. They're
Okay.
Like, oh, you're Australian.
Right, of course.
It's firstly, you're all very tall, and then it's, oh, you're Australian. Like that's usually how it goes.
So you tell me then, what is it like in Australia? What are INXS and ACDC like? What's it like in Australia? It's like a rite of passage. Everyone listens to that, or not necessarily?
Where I grew up, definitely.
Okay.
I mean, in my eyes, they are just, they're like heroes.
Right.
So I think I grew up listening to, my dad loved AC/DC, and the only thing that, driving to school or whatever was on the radio was a station called Triple M, which is like, kind of like I don't know what would be here, like the oldies
Okay,
station.
yeah.
So it's like all those, so that's where I was introduced to a lot of
like classic rock and stuff?
Rock,
Okay.
So like Zeppelin, AC/DC,
Of course.
INXS.
Right.
Some like Australian bands like Cold Chisel and Midnight Oil. And yeah, but that's what kicked off my musical.
And what was your music that you discovered for yourself?
Well, after that, it was a lot of classic rock. Like after like AC/DC, INXS, and then it was like Guns N' Roses, and I was like, I started playing guitar, and that's kind of what opened me up to like, some of those guitarists like that, Slash and stuff, like my heroes. And then after that, the stuff I found on my own that maybe my parents didn't know was like Good Charlotte, and Rise Against.
Oh, love it.
And like Green Day and Blink, like that kind of. It's a similar journey for people my age, and it's like you find that pop punk sort of.
Of course.
That's kind of what kicked off. I was like, oh, okay, this is something of my own.
Right.
Yeah.
At what point did you realize that you were going to make music your life?
When I used to play in pubs when I was a kid, and I just loved it so much. It was only covers at that point, but
what kind of covers were you doing?
I was doing a lot of those ones we were just talking about.
Yeah, right.
Like
everything we just said.
Yeah. And even like some Matchbox 20 and stuff.
Oh my God.
That was my closer.
So good.
Maybe Goo Goo Dolls.
Great.
Yeah, I
love these choices.
Those are my pub hits.
That is incredible. Do you have video footage of this?
I'm sure somewhere. I've probably tried.
I would personally like to see that. That's amazing.
I don't know if it's as good as it is in your head. It's pretty cute though. I'm pretty tiny. I'm like 14, maybe less. 14, like playing.
Oh, that's amazing.
Slide.
Well, I know that you just announced you're going to be doing your first solo tour. Maybe you should whip out some of those covers on this tour.
Mate.
What do you think?
I mean, I don't know. Do people know Goo Goo Dolls?
Are you
Slide?
kidding? Slide?
Yeah, okay.
Iris?
All right.
Name?
maybe we'll
Should I go
bust
on
it
and
out.
on?
We'll bust it out in,
No, you
in
should.
Buffalo.
You should. In Buffalo.
Yeah.
In Buffalo. No, you really should. Let's talk about, this is your first solo tour. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about that? Are you nervous? Are you excited?
I mean, I'm a little nervous, yeah. I played 2 shows at the Fonda last year, and that helped a lot with like trying to find my footing on my own. But I'm excited. It's one of those things where I just kind of want to, similar with making stuff on my own and releasing it, just like dive in, and through that wall of anxiety, I know there's going to be something great. But I'm excited to, I don't know, for the challenge and to...
It's getting out of your comfort zone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've talked about it, like I've been in the band playing shows since I was 14, 15, so it's like I'm pretty comfortable in that role.
Right.
So it's nice to, it's scary, but it's also nice to, I don't know, challenge myself and try something else.
Wonderful. I can't wait to hear these songs live.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, they're so beautiful.
Thanks.
I mean, mentioning the band, and I was trying to wrap my head around it, because you were playing in pubs doing the covers, and then what, you started doing covers online, like on YouTube and stuff? Is that like how it started?
Yes. I started doing covers on my own on YouTube, and they started gaining some sort of traction. It's nothing to write home about, but like, more than just 2 views.
Right.
And then I went to school with Michael and Callum, who were in the band, and Michael was like, he's a businessman. He's like, what if we did one together? And then we did one together, and people liked it more. And then he was like, oh, I got my friend Callum, and I was like, oh, I know Callum. I think he's really cool. He sings. Let's bring him in. And then we went from there, and then it started doing a lot better when there was more than just me. And then we found Ashleeyy, and he played drums, and we had like gigs, and then it grew from there. We had like this really like underground like cult thing in Australia. We used to like go to school in the week. Well, mostly go to school through the week, and then like on the weekends we go like play gigs, and then come back to school on sometimes Monday, sometimes Tuesday. And it's honestly really, I forget about that until I just brought it up.
Yeah.
It's
but
really
it's
funny.
like, it was a pretty swift ascent, though.
It was.
It happened pretty quickly, right?
Well, we were doing that, and then we got up to about like 200 caps, then 300 caps in Australia, and then we did a 500. Then before we left, we did 1,000 cap in Sydney, which was like great. I was like,
unbelievable.
15, 16.
Did you already think you had made it at this point? Were you like, we made it? Or were you like, we're just getting started?
You know what it was? Is we always, I don't know how we thought of this, but I think because there was some like ascent happening in general, like we had people at shows, because that was our first thing was like, how do we get this YouTube thing to be a thing where people come see us live?
Like
and that
real,
was like
in real life.
How do we get these numbers? Like we didn't care about YouTube is the wrong way to put it, but we're like, this is a nice platform, but we want to be a live band. We want to be like Blink and Green Day. How do we do that?
Yes.
So that was the first hurdle. And then from there, we played a bunch of shows in Oz, and it started being this thing where we could finally get people to come to shows. Because the first one, people didn't show up, and the second one, a few more people showed up, and then it sort of built to that 1,000 cap we're talking about. And then we moved to London, and then it sort of started building out of there, because we knew at a young, I don't know what it was, but at a young age that if we stayed in Australia, we might get stuck in Australia. We'd seen a few acts that had become really big in Australia.
And only Australia.
And only there.
Yeah.
And we just like, I don't know where that comes from at 15, but we're like, we don't want that to happen to us. So we were like trying to...
That's really impressive insight.
I don't know what
and
it
intuition.
was. I'd like to take credit for it, but it probably wasn't me. It was probably Ashton. He was the oldest one. So maybe it was him. But that was like the first goal. So then we moved to England. We started, and then toured with 1D. And then we came here and met John Feldman and did that whole thing.
Shout out Feldy. Love you.
Yeah. And then we had the first album and it did really well. But it was all very, very, very quick. That
It was so quick. Like, was there a moment that you just were like, wait a second, like, this is happening. Like, the world knows about us.
I don't know. There were so many little ones that were very strange. I think I was so young and naive that it was, I don't know. I'm kind of grateful I was that young, because I just don't really, it was just like stuff was just happening and you're just
assuming position and just kind of going through it.
You know, and we played really well as a band, and I'm really glad we had that start. We really focused on like, all right, we really want to be a great live band.
Right.
And we want to write great songs. And we just held on to those because there's so much noise happening around us that we tried to focus on those. But I don't know, when people started coming to shows, obviously that's a big one. We used to be in like a random like European city that like I'd never even heard of, and there'd just be like thousands of people in the street, and it just would be this like
frenzy.
I don't even know how to, it's not something it doesn't really make sense to my mind now. It was kind of just like, especially us just being like these kids from Western Sydney, it was just really odd. Looking back, I'm like, it's kind of funny.
Right.
But
looking back on it, do you have any regrets? Like, does anything like not sit right with you that you kind of wish you could redo?
Well, if you haven't noticed already, I'm a bit of an overthinker, but I think I'd love to say that wouldn't like to change anything, but you know, I try to be of the mindset. I definitely would change some things, but try to be in the mindset of like, you know, whatever happened for a reason.
Right, you're here today.
Brought me here today. But I don't know. Hindsight's obviously it's 2020, and it's I don't know. I kind of just wish I understood the industry more.
Yeah.
Being that young in the industry and having all these other people around you that had been doing it for so long, you sort of felt inferior, and your opinion was less
valid.
Yeah. And we were always pretty good about like, we really want to do this, we want to be this kind of band, and that wasn't the issue. It was more like, I don't know, like things said by people around us that were higher up than us that, you know, weren't very nice.
Got it.
You know,
yeah,
getting off stage and being yelled at because we didn't do something right, or like didn't sound very good. That wasn't so fun.
That's awful.
Yeah, but at the time you're just sort of like, you think this person just knows more than me.
Oh.
So you just sort of, so maybe like, looking back now, I'd be like, I don't know, you would say or react differently. But at the time, you're just so young, you're just like, oh, this is just what happens.
Yeah, that's a bummer. But I really give you guys credit, especially being so young, that you really had the intuition, you really had the vision. And I didn't realize in the beginning, I don't know if it's because you toured with One Direction or not, but that you were a legitimate band, you know? Like, you guys are incredible players.
Thanks.
And I just remember there was a moment for me, we were talking about this, I was in Australia at the ARIA Awards. Our dear friend Amy Shark was winning many awards. We wanted to be there to support her.
Yeah.
And you guys performed that night, and I was blown away.
Do you know we were playing? What year was that? 2014 or 2018?
2018.
Oh, damn. Okay. Nice.
And I was like, they're incredible.
I
was like, oh, okay. I didn't, I was like, wow, you guys crushed. Like, you're such a good live band.
Thanks. That was...
And I don't know, like, I didn't realize, I knew your music so well, but I think I just was so pleasantly surprised by what a great band you guys are.
Thanks. Yeah, that was I mean, like I said, a massive focus for us, because that was our thing. We're like, if you don't have the live show and we don't rip live, then like we're just gonna like float away into.
I have so much respect for that. That's so cool.
Yeah, and that was kind of our whole thing. It was kind of funny. We did like a whole skit about it, where it's like, there was that thing where we were like, wow, we play instruments. We're a band. We're not a boy band.
Yeah,
and I look back, I'm like, oh, I guess we kind of were, but we still played instruments.
No, you really weren't though.
I know.
Like, you guys put yourselves together.
Yeah.
And you all are you're musicians.
Yeah.
So
I know.
I think it just was the association.
It definitely was the association, and
Yeah.
it was, but it's like, it's so dumb now, but as a kid like you, it was so important to us.
Of course.
We want to be like Blink, we want to be like Green Day, like.
But that's great.
Yeah.
They were like really great, like role models for you.
Yeah.
What about new 5 Seconds of Summer music? Of course, we're focusing now on your solo stuff, but there will be some again.
There will be.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
there will be. I have a feeling there'll always be new.
That's so
five-star
great
stuff.
to hear. Yeah.
I think as long as we feel like we have something to offer
Yeah.
to the world, then I think, I just think we'll just make music for as long as we can.
That's
I
so
suppose.
great. I guarantee you that after this whole experience with Boy and your solo tour, I bet you it will even hone your skills and help the way you approach the music with the guys.
Well, that's the plan. Yeah, I think it's just nice to have a bit of freedom. On it, It's nice to like we were talking about before, like try something new and not. I don't know. I just kind of because it is all very. I've had that comfort of the band for such a long time that it's scary and fulfilling and all those things to do it on my own and to come back to the band with all this other knowledge is it's gonna hopefully will make it better.
It's so beautiful. What did you learn about yourself in this process?
What did I learn about myself? Oh geez, I think. Well, there's a lot of self-doubt coming into making this because I was like, I did think after that first album on my own, I was like, maybe it was just a fluke, and because it was like a of the times thing where I was like, I was forced to do this because I had nothing else to do.
Because everyone was in lockdown. Yeah.
But I don't know. I think that I can, if I it sounds so lame what I was about to say. If I just set my mind to it, no, I can.
No, it's true. It's true. I understand.
I really can get a good bunch of tunes over the line. And I just learned. I don't know. It's just with all these, with writing. That's kind of how I work through things. So I just learned. I don't know, a bit more about myself, of emotionally and how to move forward with less fear of the future. I guess would be a big one.
I mean, that's something we can all learn from. It's like you have to face your self-doubt and overcome it. And that really helps build your confidence and build your best self.
Yeah,
it's
well,
amazing.
You know what? I hesitate saying it because then I'm like, in 3 years from now, I'm gonna think that this version of me now didn't know anything compared to
that's life.
The later
that's
version.
Life though. But you can only do where you are right now.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So. And I think Boy is fantastic.
You.
Honestly, congratulations.
Thanks.
All right, let's do deep cuts.
Okay.
Name a song, album, or artist that changed your life.
When I was 13, The Young and the Hopeless, Good Charlotte, blew my mind. And then recently, How to Disappear Completely, Radiohead. So you got both ends.
Incredible.
Old and young.
Great picks.
Thank you.
What was your first memorable concert?
I went to, I don't know if they had this in America, but it was called The Taste of Chaos.
Oh, yes.
They had that?
Oh, absolutely.
And
yes.
it was, I went with my dad. It was Rise Against, The Used, I think a band called The Bled.
The Bled.
Is that a real
band? The Bled. That does sound familiar to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was, amazing. Terrifying.
Yeah.
Loud. Scary. Amazing.
God. The Used.
They were
so good.
Fucking loud.
So good. I mean, was Burt McCracken vomiting on stage at this point? I don't remember because he did that for a while.
I don't know if he vomited, but he looked like he was close to it.
He was on the brink.
It was on the brink for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's sick. That's a great story. What is a song you wish you wrote?
The Drugs Don't Work. The Verve.
Oh my God, The Verve. Urban Hymns.
Yeah.
One of the greatest albums, 1997.
That's so good.
The Drugs Don't Work.
Yeah.
The Verve Urban Hymns is an album that I tell everyone they need to own. They need to listen to it start to finish.
It's good because you get wrapped up in, which is one of the best songs written, Bittersweet Symphony, but there's so much beneath, it's just the tip of the iceberg.
That's right. Most people only know that song.
Yeah, and it's hard to get past because
it's phenomenal.
It's so
but
good.
that album, I would say the Verve Urban Hymns is also my Jeff Buckley Grace. There's just certain albums, or Radiohead The Bends, or just certain albums that are masterpieces.
Yeah, that Buckley one's so good.
So good. What is your favorite movie?
Favorite movie? Well, because of all the visuals on Boy, I've been watching like a lot of kind of existential ones, like Lost in Translation.
Yes.
But my comfort movie, which is a little bit embarrassing, is About a Boy. I don't know if you know that.
Oh,
with Hugh Grant.
yes.
So
yes. It's not embarrassing at all.
good. I just watched it again recently. It used to always be on TV in Australia for some reason. And I think it's just...
That's a great
I think
movie.
it's so good.
Of course. Good choice.
Thank you.
If you were not a musician, what would you be?
I would be... Well, do you have work experience in America? Like you intern?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like so when you're in high school, or middle school, whatever, you get to like go to a job. And I went to a guitar shop or a music shop and worked with the guy in like the dungeon, like the basement, that like worked on all the guitars and amps, like all the electronics. So I'd probably be trying to do that.
That's like a technical side of it. That's really cool.
Yeah, I think it was kind of music or nothing. I had
Yes.
to do.
You'd be like a gearhead.
Yeah, I'd be a gearhead even more than I
You
am.
currently are.
Yes,
right.
exactly.
Oh, that's awesome. What is something your fans would be surprised to learn about you?
Oh, geez. Maybe. Oh, it's kind of sad. I think I don't love the sound of my singing voice. Would be one. So that takes a lot of reverb, a lot of compression.
Really?
Yeah. I think that's kind of something I would.
You don't like it because you're uncomfortable, like listening to yourself?
Yeah, a little bit of that.
Oh.
I think I'm just very perfectionist. So if something is off, I just can't even listen to it. Like if like someone plays with something that's unedited, I'll just be like, oh, I don't like this.
Oh, you don't give yourself enough credit.
Well, yeah, maybe, potentially.
Your voice sounds beautiful on Boy. It
Thank
does.
you.
It's
Well,
beautiful.
Because
Beautiful.
I proved it.
Fair enough. If you could meet any celebrity, dead or alive, who would it be?
Oh. Okay, this is a bit of a weird one, but do you know they went to the moon in 1965, Neil and Buzz?
Yes.
There was a guy that I just watched the video on this.
Oh.
That's why it's in the front of
Top
my
of
mind.
mind.
Yeah.
Top of mind.
And there was a guy, Michael Collins, that stayed in the thing and went around the moon, and for 20 hours on his own, and for 20 minutes he had no contact with Earth, and so he was like technically the loneliest person in the whole universe.
Wow, this is like an untold story, I feel like.
Yeah, I love space stuff, and I just watched the video on that, and I was like, that's pretty fucking
That's
cool.
incredible. I have to watch that.
Yeah, and I guess I've been talking a lot about like loneliness in my songs.
Yeah.
I'm like, this guy would.
I think that wins.
I think he wins. Yeah.
I think he definitely wins.
No, you'd have some better stories than I would, for sure.
Wow, like zero contact with even like
Yeah.
solar system. Yeah. What is the greatest risk you've ever taken?
Moving to London at 15, I'd say,
Yeah.
with the band. Probably more of a risk on my parents' behalf. Yeah, young to move. I meet some 15-year-olds, you know, people have kids and like nieces and nephews and stuff, and I'm like, this son or daughter was going to London right now, moving
But that
away.
just goes to show you that you really had this belief in yourself. You
Yeah.
know, you really did. You had the vision, and so did your parents. They supported it.
Yeah, I had
They
good
saw it
parents
too.
as well. I had good parents. And my mom was a teacher, and she used to teach me on the road, which was pretty cool.
Oh, that's really great.
Yeah.
Do you still share like your music? Are they a part of like
Yeah,
this process?
I show my parents. My mom she loves a rollout. So I'll send her some stuff to get her opinion if I'm like really struggling, like, do you like this? Because she's like she'll be like, no, this is very, like, you should, or she'll be like, I love this, or like, yeah, this is okay.
That's amazing. I love that your mom's involved. This
But-
is great.
But when I asked her, I was like, do you want to hear like the album or the EP before it comes out? She was like, no, I want to experience the rollout
Like in real time.
in real time. And I was
Oh.
like, okay. She's always been like that. I don't know what it is.
What a cool
I'd be
mom.
like, send it to me.
Yeah.
That's how I am.
But I love that she's also a sounding board. She's like, no, that sucks. That
Yeah.
sucks. That's sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's like, fire. Wait, that's
Yeah.
hilarious. What a cool mom.
Yeah.
Do you feel successful? Like, how would you define success for yourself?
Do I feel successful? I feel very successful in my personal life. Like when I wake up in the morning and, you know, have a day off, and I've got, like, I feel very successful in regard. I think for like, business, music, band, solo stuff, I don't think that'll ever be like a completed, tick the box, done that.
Really?
I think that'll be a never-ending pursuit, I fear.
Do you think what would maybe change that? Was it longevity? Is it awards? Like, what is it that would make you feel successful in that arena?
I don't know, honestly. I don't know that it ever would be. I think I'm definitely happy with
Yeah.
it, and I love what we've achieved. I love what I've achieved, but I think it'll just be a thing where it's, I don't know, maybe ask me in 3 years, maybe.
Yeah,
I'll be
okay.
like, but
We'll circle back.
yeah, we'll circle back.
back.
But I don't know. That's kind of just how I am. I think there's got to be some sort of chase in my life to like, I've got to keep getting better and like improving on this. But I think longevity is a big one. Like continuing that. Yeah, but I feel
That's
pretty good
amazing.
otherwise.
You really have a lot of drive. It's obviously very apparent. That's why at 15 you had the confidence to go to London. But like even now, I'm just excited to see what's next for you because you have such this intrinsic motivation that's very inspiring.
Thank you.
And very humble as well.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Are there words that you live by?
Words that I live by. I don't know. What do you live by? Do people live by words?
For me, I would say it's gratitude, like be here
Gratitude.
now kind of thing. Like
That's a good one.
like these are the good old days, just about being present, because it's so easy to be nostalgic and look back, and then it's also very easy to worry about the future. It's actually the hardest thing to just be in the moment and to be like, you'll never have this day ever again.
I should be living by that. That's because I think about that a lot. Like, you get stuck in the past and stuck
Right.
looking in the future. It's hard to be present. But yeah, that would be. I should take that on.
Well, I think it's, they always say it's like, happiness is gratitude. Happiness is just being grateful for where you are at this moment.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing to live by, because I think even you're talking about having drive and wanting to continue this and pursue this, but it is, a lot of it should be like, and that's what Sierra, my wife, is really good at, being like, okay, look around,
Yes.
you're healthy,
Right.
we got this and this and this,
That's right.
everything's all good. So
That's right.
it's a good way to live.
Look at Sierra. See?
Yeah, exactly.
Another reason why you guys are a beautiful
Exactly.
couple. I'm so happy for you,
Unsung
Luke.
hero.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing, your stories with me and your time with me. And I'm so excited for this boy EP, and I think people are going to be floored by it.
Hell yeah.
I do.
Thanks for having me. I
Of
appreciate
course.
it.
I'll be right back. How lovely is Luke? He is just such a delight. He's so humble. He's so grounded. I really love this boy EP, and I can't wait for you to hear it. Thank you so much for being part of the Allison Hagendorf Show, presented by Cloudwater. I want to give a huge thank you to our other partners as well, Danny Wimmer Presents and Karma Sauce. Thank you to our friends at Arctic Zone, and most importantly, thank you. I would love to hear from you. So please like, comment, rate, review, whatever you're feeling, and reach out to me on socials at Allieey Hagendorf. I'd love to connect with you. Let me know who I should interview next and what made you smile today. Thanks again. I'll see you next time. And remember, you're a rock star.